The Amschwand Sarcoma Cancer Foundation was founded by the late Tom Amschwand in 2001. The mission of the foundation was to create a greater awareness of sarcoma, to support those with the disease, and to encourage sarcoma-specific research. Unfortunately, the problem of scarce funding for sarcoma research is a problem that still exists. The result has been little advancement in the development of new treatments and early diagnosis of sarcoma. Consequently, for many, sarcoma remains a death sentence. The Amschwand Sarcoma Cancer Foundation aims to change this through strategic support of sarcoma-specific research and the elimination of barriers to accessing specialty care. The main objective of the Amschwand Sarcoma Cancer Foundation is to advance the long-term survival and quality of life of sarcoma patients. Today, about half of all diagnosed with sarcoma will be resistant to the treatment, necessitating the desperate need for new therapies. Our goal is to ensure that effective treatments are identified in our lifetime for all sarcoma patients. We do this by contributing to the development of new therapies and assisting in the development of improved diagnostic and screening tools that allow for sarcomas to be diagnosed early, when increased survival and a reduction in side effects can result. We recognize that introducing new drugs and therapies to the bedside can present inherent challenges. In the meantime, our mission is to provide short-term housing, travel assistance, informational tools, and emotional support to sarcoma patients and their families. This lessens the emotional and financial burdens associated with treatment. Another critical objective is to create greater awareness within both the general and medical communities regarding the needs of sarcoma patients and their families. As the first and only nonprofit to focus equal attention on increasing awareness, research, and tangible support for families affected by sarcomas, the Amschwand Sarcoma Cancer Foundation aims to meet those needs within our sarcoma community that are not already being addressed elsewhere. Only after taking an inventory of the needs and associated resources within the sarcoma landscape did ASCF endeavor to focus its effort on specific critical objectives targeted at ultimately improving both life and clinical outcomes for sarcoma patients and their families. To achieve this, all members of our leadership team are personally committed to the ASCF mission and are purposeful in communicating that mission in a manner that encourages genuine, heartfelt dedication to meeting our objectives. The leadership team of the organization consists of sarcoma survivors and co-survivors, clinicians, philanthropists, and business people, and is 100% volunteer run. Our executive board is both hands-on and focused, and every member of our leadership team has had a personal connection to the sarcoma experience. As a result, our sense of urgency and level of commitment is driven not just by the quantitative, but also by personal stories of real families just like ours who are in need now. Because our team includes both patients and families personally affected by sarcoma, we fully engage researchers and other clinicians who have the specialized training to develop life-saving therapies. Physicians have involvement at all levels of decision-making within our organization, including participation on the executive board. This, in part, helps to ensure our shared purpose is not only communicated, but that the synergy between doctor, patient, and advocate is maximized. One of the Amschwand Sarcoma Cancer Foundation's most important strategies is to ensure that our stakeholders identify with the people we serve. Whether we're meeting with volunteers for an awareness event, visiting with researchers about the challenges faced finding new treatments, or convening in a public forum, it's essential to put a face on what we do. We must tell the stories of those we serve. We must share their challenges as well as their hopes for the future. So every day, we use our platform and all tactics available to us to ensure that our message is not only received, but heard. Nothing can compare with a survivor or co-survivor telling his or her story. What better way for our stakeholders to gain an appreciation of the challenges faced by our researchers and bedside clinicians than to have them tell their stories too? Whether directly in a public forum, in print, or via social media, sharing the perspectives, faces, and stories of our research and fellowship grant recipients, as well as our patients and families, is an essential part of what we do. The Amschwand Sarcoma Cancer Foundation's key performance indicators help our leadership team ensure we're hitting our mark and actually making a difference in the lives of those we serve. Examples of just some of the data we collect include number of patient families served by the foundation, number of nights housing provided to patient families, satisfaction of those families provided housing, the number of research and fellowship grants funded, and dollar amount of grants funded, as well as continuity of sarcoma-specific funding for recipients. Data is collected monthly and reported bi-monthly to the Executive Board to examine trends and identify variances. Feedback from our patients tells us that without the free short-term housing we offer to families seeking treatment away from home, the majority of those we serve would not be able to receive care. We do more with less. As a 100% volunteer-run nonprofit, every penny you invest in the Amschwand Sarcoma Cancer Foundation is maximized. Funding for sarcoma research and resources for those affected by the disease are scarce, so we owe it to the patients and families we serve to be good stewards of the funds that are available to us. At the Amschwand Sarcoma Cancer Foundation, we're proud to have been a part of the first major breakthrough in the treatment of sarcoma in 2 decades. In 2008, the FDA approved the drug Gleevec for regular use in patients with GIST, a form of sarcoma that affects gastrointestinal tissue. We couldn't be more thrilled that our part in helping to determine gastrointestinal stromal tumor sensitivity to this drug has resulted in significant overall survival benefit to patients affected by the disease. Historically, funding for sarcoma research has been scarce. However, we believe that because sarcomas affect so many children and young people, the number of productive years lost to the disease may actually exceed those lost to more common forms of cancer. Still, because there are few financial incentives in place to encourage researching new treatments, the 10,000 plus patients who will be newly diagnosed in our country this year will have few options. Most will be diagnosed at late stages, resulting in poor clinical outcomes. The reality is that more common forms of cancer receive more funding. Of course, we celebrate the many advances in the treatment of more common forms of cancer, and we celebrate the lives saved. Still, for us, the celebration is short-lived because so much work remains to ensure that those affected by sarcoma have the same chance of survival. With additional resources, we can house more patients seeking specialty care away from home. We can work to create a greater awareness of the disease in hopes of minimizing delays in diagnosis. We can increase the amount of sarcoma research being conducted. Quite simply, the only thing between us and a cure is your help. Currently, the Amschwand Sarcoma Cancer Foundation is a 100% volunteer-run organization. While we are very proud of the fact that our team feels so passionate about our cause that we are willing to donate our time and talent, we also recognize that by adding some paid staff to the team, we can increase the number of hands on deck and do more of what we already do well in a shorter period of time, saving lives.